Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishna. Here, basically, we are discussing about one topic, that is cities creation. In this, basically, one of the person told that basically uh, this 90,000 basically year is created, right? Basically, this is created basically some by some group. That one a few people basically can stay up to this level of the age basically. Then he told that yes, basically. Then one of the person told that basically, yeah, there is one disease basically which is created. Do you know basically that disease? Yes, no one in within this 1 month current generation. Yes, basically, there is one disease basically called HIV/AIDS. Yes, yes, yes. Basically, that we know. Only basically few that basically people basically can just a minute. I will just how many basically HIV/AIDS people can have maximum life. Many people have the HIV/AIDS as long as basically therapies do not age we will write here. It's not written basically. These all are basically symptoms basically. They basically get this weight loss is there, then yes, symptom is there. Exact age is not written. That means from is this basically we get clears basically that it can be any age basically. So in this basically this is also added by some groups basically. Which group basically? That can be any group basically. So HIV/AIDS basically come from where basically? HIV/AIDS basically came from which caste basically? Just a minute. First kids 20th century. African. In African basically HIV/AIDS basically that caused away. So Africa basically was the first country basically. That basically you can say Africa population region wise basically. So Central African, Eastern Ethiopia, Somalia, but here basically it's not region basically region. Or if we will write caste wise then Islamic also there. See this is there, Hinduism is also basically there. This is the population. Buddhism is also there basically. So major population is basically of Christianity is also there basically. See basically Christianity is also there basically. Abrahamic religion is basically the see this is the basically population. Christian basically is the population basically. Then Islam basically. Then traditional faith basically. Then others basically. In this others or basically in this basically the Hinduism comes basically. See basically. So from here basically the AIDS basically came. So that's basically Christian basically. Christian, Islam, these two groups basically knows about the AIDS basically. So that true group basically will be responsible basically if basically assume basically that due to AIDS basically this world basically this generation basically can't complete the 1 month basically. Just taking as an example basically. Due to AIDS basically, this 1 month basically is not going to complete. So Islam and Christian will be responsible for current generation end. So that will be the next generation basically which is going to start. There basically the Islam and Muslim creation basically, entire Muslim and entire Christian creation is going to be kept as a responsible group basically, and like this basically the world is going to create and next generation is going to create, and in this basically the animals are going to create, but that is going to affect to current generation because they have already done the HIV AIDS and that person already got the AIDS. But the thing basically they can do is give the medicine, nothing else basically they can do basically. The people who was supposed to do everything basically they have already done basically. So the people who basically suffers, that are basically the normal people basically who don't know anything basically. They only suffers basically. The people who don't know anything basically, who don't know about the system basically, who don't know anything basically, they are only basically going to suffer basically. The people who are supposed to do basically, for example, that there be this 1 month basically is generation is going to end, and due to this is ended basically, going to end due to AIDS basically. Just taking as an example basically, and really basically there might be some other reason also, or might possible that basically due to this God basically, this 1 month basically might complete also basically. This 1 month basically can complete also. Anything basically is possible basically. Anything is possible basically. So you can't say anything basically. That's why basically nobody ignores any of the thing basically. So here it might possible that basically due to 1 month basically the things basically might end also basically due to AIDS. Anything is possible basically. So here basically I am just taking as an example basically. So here actually what we are discussing actually in last video, the previous world basically why it was ended basically, and can basically you can track from which animal basically you can track that basically the world basically was ended basically. That's why basically the animal doctors basically are there basically. So they might have done the research basically 100% that why the world was basically ended. That's why they are doctor, no basically. That's why they are doctor basically. But they basically might be, and doctors basically, animal doctor basically directly connects to the human blood cells only. How basically? I have taken one example of the Om Shanti Om movie basically. Yes. Om Shanti, Deepika Padukone basically. So that was also damaged. So due to that basically, HIV AIDS basically can create the problem to the whole world basically. So any person, for example, assume that basically my each and every body parts was damaged by the doctors group basically. Assume basically. So doctors will be responsible for current generation end. That is this 1 month basically. So in future basically when the next generation is going to create, that time basically the doctor's blood will be responsible for end of current generation. So next video basically we are going to see how basically the previous generation was ended and the reason.